The silent colonic Amanda, Sarah Chen, felt her stomach drop as the stellar wind dropped out of hyperspace near New Kepler. The mining colony should have been blazing with lights, its massive orbital platforms busy with cargo ships loading precious metals bound for Earth. Instead, she stared at empty space where 15,000 human beings should have been living and working that Sarah had made. This supply run 12 times in the past 3 years. New Kepler was one of humanity's most successful outer colonies, a testament to human determination to spread across the galaxy. The colonists were tough, hard-working people who had volunteered to spend their lives on the edge of known space, mining the rare elements that powered humanity's growing interstellar civilization. Now, there was nothing but silence. Her communications officer, Lieutenant Tom Park, looked up from his console with worry written across his young face. "Commander, I'm not picking up any signals from the colony. No communication arrays, no navigation beacons, not even emergency transponders." Sarah moved to the main display, studying the readings from their long-range sensors. "What about life? Signs, heat signatures from the settlements?" "Nothing, ma'am. It's like the entire colony just vanished." Chief Engineer Amanda Foster spoke from her station near the rear of the bridge. "That's impossible. New Kepler had over 15,000 people. You don't just lose that many humans without some kind of trace." Sarah had to agree. She had served in the Colonial Defense Force for 20 years, and she had never seen anything like this. Pirates might raid a small outpost, but New Kepler was too big and too well defended for any known threat. The colony had been equipped with the latest defensive systems and maintained a garrison of trained soldiers. "Take us closer," Sarah ordered. "Full sensor sweep of the entire system. I want to know what happened here." As the stellar wind approached the planet, the mystery only deepened. New Kepler's 3 main cities were still there, but they appeared completely abandoned. The massive mining equipment sat idle in the open-pit mines, frozen in whatever task they had been performing when their operators disappeared. Orbital stations hung dark and empty in space, their docking bays open to the void. Dr. Lisa Chang, the ship's science officer, was studying her instruments with increasing alarm. "Commander, I'm detecting strange energy readings from the planet's surface. There are geometric patterns of crystalline formations covering approximately 60% of the main continent." "Crystalline formations?" Sarah asked. "What kind of formations?" "Unlike anything in our geological databases, they appear to have grown rapidly, possibly within the last few weeks. The patterns are too regular to be natural. It's as if someone planted seeds across the entire landmass and they all grew at once." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. In her 20 years of service, she had learned to trust her instincts when something felt wrong. Whatever had happened to New Kepler, it was not a natural disaster or equipment failure. "Assemble a landing party," she ordered. "Full environmental suits and heavy weapons. We're going down there to find answers." 2 hours later, Sarah led her team through the empty streets of New Kepler's capital city. Their boots echoed off the metal walkways as they moved between abandoned buildings. Personal belongings were scattered everywhere, as if people had dropped what they were carrying and simply walked away. Meals sat half-eaten on tables. Children's toys lay forgotten in playgrounds. But there were no bodies, no signs of violence or struggle. The 15,000 colonists had simply vanished. Security Chief Robert Miller checked his weapon scanner as they approached the Central Administrative Complex. No hostile signatures detected, But these energy readings are off the charts. Whatever created those crystal formations is still active. The team entered the main command center, where banks of computers still hummed with power. Emergency lighting cast red shadows on the walls, and warning alarms had been silenced, but their lights still blinked urgently. Sarah accessed the main terminal, downloading logs and records from the past month. What she found made her blood run cold. The first strange readings had appeared 3 weeks ago. Colonial Administrator Rachel Torres had logged unusual energy signatures detected by the Deep Space Monitoring Station. The signals were coming from somewhere beyond the edge of the solar system, but they did not match any known technology. Dr. Chang studied the data from over Sarah's shoulder. These readings indicate something was scanning the colony. Not just passive observation, but active probing of their technology, their defenses, even their population centers. Sarah scrolled through more entries. 5 days after the first contact, colonists had begun reporting strange dreams, vivid nightmares about being watched by invisible eyes, of shadows that moved without casting shapes. Children were the first to be affected. Then adults began experiencing the same phenomena. The final entries painted a picture of growing terror. People had begun seeing things that were not there, or perhaps seeing things that others could not perceive. Security cameras recorded colonists talking to empty air, responding to voices that the microphones did not pick up. The last entry was from Administrator Torres herself, recorded just 4 days ago. Her face appeared on Sarah's screen, and the commander could see fear in the woman's eyes. This is Administrator Torres' final log entry. The phenomena affecting our people has intensified. Dr. Kim believes we are dealing with some form of psychic influence from an unknown source. 30% of our population is now affected. They speak of visitors who promise them paradise, beings who claim they can free us from the burden of physical existence. Torres paused, looking over her shoulder as if expecting to see something behind her. I have authorized the activation of Emergency Protocol 7. If anyone receives this message, know that we tried to resist. But the voices are so beautiful, so compelling, they promise us we will never feel pain or fear again. They promise us peace. The recording ended abruptly. Security Chief Miller lowered his scanner and looked at Sarah with concern. Commander, we need to evacuate this system immediately. Whatever took these people might still be here. But Dr. Chang was studying her instruments with growing excitement. Wait, I'm detecting a signal coming from the crystalline formations. It's not random. It's structured like a beacon or transmission. Sarah made the decision that would change everything. We investigate the signal, but we do it carefully, and we do it fast. Tom, send a priority message to Colonial Command. Tell them we have a code black situation at New Kepler. Unknown alien contact with possible hostile intent. The team made their way to the largest crystalline formation, a towering spire that had grown through the center of the colony's main plaza. The crystals pulsed with a soft blue light that seemed to respond to their presence. As they approached, Sarah could hear something that made her skin crawl. It was singing, a beautiful, haunting melody that seemed to come from the crystals themselves. The sound was so lovely that for a moment, Sarah felt an overwhelming urge to remove her helmet and listen more closely. Commander. Miller grabbed her arm as she reached for her helmet seals. Don't listen to it. Look at the others. Sarah turned to see that her entire team had stopped moving. They were all staring at the crystals with expressions of wonder and longing. Dr. Chang had actually taken a step forward, her hand moving toward her helmet release. everyone back to the ship. Sarah shouted over the growing intensity of the alien song. Move, now. It took all of her willpower to turn away from the beautiful sound and drag her team back to their shuttle. As they lifted off from New Kepler's surface, Sarah could see the crystalline formations beginning to pulse faster, as if responding to their departure. Back aboard the stellar wind, Sarah activated the ship's most powerful transmitter and sent an emergency broadcast to every human colony and military installation within 50 light years. Her message was simple but terrifying. This is Commander Sarah Chen, aboard the vessel Stellar Wind. New Kepler colony has fallen to unknown alien forces. 15,000 humans are missing, presumed dead or captured. The threat appears to be psychic in nature and capable of influencing human behavior. All colonies are advised to implement maximum security protocols immediately. But Sarah's message would do more than warn the colonies. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, in a facility that had been hidden for 2 centuries, automated systems detected the emergency code phrases in her transmission. Ancient computers that had been waiting in silence began to execute programs written by people long dead in a chamber carved from solid rock far below the surface. 5 cryogenic pods began their awakening sequence. The time for humanity's legendary guardians to sleep was over. The awakening protocol, 500 meters beneath the Swiss Alps, in a facility that existed in no official records. Warning lights began to flash for the first time in 200 years. The emergency message from New Kepler had contained specific code words that triggered protocols established during humanity's early expansion into space. The creators of this hidden facility had understood that humanity might someday face threats beyond their imagination. They had prepared for the day when conventional military forces would not be enough to protect the human species from extinction. General Victoria Kane felt consciousness return slowly, like rising from the depths of a dark ocean. Her body was cold and stiff, but her mind remained sharp. The cryogenic preservation had worked perfectly, keeping her biological functions in perfect stasis while the world changed around her. She had been 38 years old when she volunteered for the long sleep 2 centuries ago. Now she was still 38, but the human civilization she had sworn to protect had grown beyond anything she could have imagined when she closed her eyes for what she thought might be the last time. Kane sat up carefully as her pod opened, her enhanced muscles responding smoothly despite the long dormancy. Around her, 4 other pods were opening as well. These were her comrades, the 5 greatest military minds of their generation, volunteers who had chosen to sleep until humanity faced its darkest hour. Admiral Zhong Wei emerged from his pod with the same calm precision that had made him the finest naval commander in human history. His eyes immediately began assessing their surroundings, cataloging potential threats and escape routes out of pure instinct. Colonel Marcus Stone moved with the silent grace that had earned him the nickname the Shadow of Europa. His Special Forces operations had been legendary, infiltrating enemy positions that everyone said were impossible to reach. Commander Alina Vasquez stretched her arms as she stood, her mind already focusing on the computer systems around them. She had been the cyber warfare genius who prevented the AI rebellion by turning the machines against their own programming. Major David Cross remained perfectly still for several moments after his pod opened, listening and watching everything before making any movement. His intelligence operations had saved countless lives during the corporate wars. A synthesized voice spoke from hidden speakers around the chamber. "Welcome back, Guardians. Guardian Protocol has been activated in response to Code Black emergency transmission from Colonial Defense Force vessel Stellar Wind. General Kane stepped forward, taking command naturally. Computer, status report. What is the current threat level? Unknown alien force has eliminated new Kepler colony. 15,000 humans missing. Threat assessment indicates possible extinction-level danger to human civilization based on attack methods and technology demonstrated. The 5 Guardians dressed quickly in the updated uniforms that had been prepared for them. The clothing incorporated technology that had been developed during their centuries of sleep, but the rank insignia had been modified to reflect their unique authority. They proceeded to the main briefing chamber, where holographic displays showed them a 3-dimensional map of human space. What they saw amazed them. During their 200 years of sleep, humanity had established colonies on over 300 worlds. Billions of people now lived among the stars, but red markers on the display showed a disturbing pattern. New Kepler was not the only colony that had gone silent recently. Over the past 6 months, 7 other settlements had simply stopped communicating. With Earth, Admiral Zhong studied the tactical information with the eyes of someone who had spent his life planning space battles. Show me the attack progression. The hologram shifted to display the timeline of vanished colonies. Each had been a frontier settlement located on the edge of human space where they would be isolated from immediate help. Colonel Stone leaned forward to examine the data. They're testing our defenses, learning our capabilities before moving to more important targets. Commander Vasquez was already working on a tablet, accessing current intelligence networks. Need full access to all modern communication systems. If this alien force has some method of coordinating their attacks, I can find it. The computer responded immediately. Access granted, Commander Vasquez. However, traditional detection methods have been ineffective against the alien threat. Major Cross had been studying personnel files on his own device. What do we know about survivors? Has anyone escaped these attacks to provide intelligence? Negative. No survivors have been recovered from any attacked colony. However, Commander Sarah Chen of the Stellar Wind has provided detailed reconnaissance data from New Kepler. General Kane turned to address the computer system. Connect me to Commander Chen immediately. The main display showed the bridge of the Stellar Wind, where Commander Sarah Chen stood, surrounded by her concerned crew. She looked tired and frightened, but her voice was steady as she gave her report. General Kane, I've studied the New Kepler site for 18 hours. These aliens don't just destroy our colonies, they transform them. The crystalline formations left behind are not random destruction. They form complex patterns that my science officer believes are designed to amplify psychic energy. Admiral. Zhong leaned forward with interest. Are you saying these attacks are not military strikes? No, Admiral. They appear to be harvesting operations. The aliens are taking our people for a specific purpose. Dr. Chang believes they are extracting human consciousness and storing it in those crystal formations. The 5 Guardians exchanged grim looks. They had awakened expecting to fight a conventional invasion, but this was something far worse. Commander Vasquez spoke into her communicator. Computer, activate Protocol Prometheus. All hidden military assets are to come online immediately. Protocol Prometheus activated. All Guardian-class weapon systems are now operational. Deep space. Monitoring network is fully active. Estimated time to complete tactical readiness. For hours. General Kane looked at his old friends and comrades. It seems humanity built more than we imagined while we slept. But we're facing an enemy that threatens not just our lives, but our very essence as conscious beings. The computer interrupted with urgent news. Priority alert. Long-range sensors have detected massive alien fleet approaching outer human colonies. Estimated arrival at Earth's defense perimeter, 60 hours. Colonel Stone stood and began pacing around the briefing room. 60 hours to prepare for humanity's greatest battle. What military assets do we have available? Earth Defense Fleet consists of 47 ships of the line, 63 escort vessels, and 25 support craft. Colonial defense forces are distributed across human space, but can be recalled. Ground-based defenses include orbital weapons platforms and atmospheric protection grids. Major Cross was examining strategic reports on his tablet. The scattered colonies make us vulnerable. If this alien force can eliminate our outlying settlements before we can concentrate our forces, they'll face only Earth's local defenses. Commander Vasquez looked up from her computer work. I've been analyzing the energy signatures from the alien technology. They operate using principles that interface directly with neural activity. That's why they can influence human behavior. Through those crystalline formations. Admiral Zhong studied the fleet deployment charts. We need to recall every available ship to Earth immediately. If we're going to make a stand, it has to be here where we can concentrate our maximum firepower. General Kane walked to the holographic display showing human space, hundreds of worlds with billions of people, all depending on the decisions made in this room. Send recall orders to all colonial defense forces. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon system we have. We're going to show these aliens what happens when they threaten humanity. Commander Chen's voice came through the communication system. Guardians, there's something else. The crystalline formations at New Kepler are still active. They're transmuting something into deep space. Dr. Chang believes they're calling more of their kind. The gravity of their situation became clear. To all 5 Guardians, this was not just an invasion that could be repelled with superior tactics or firepower. The enemy was preparing to harvest human consciousness on a galactic scale. Kane turned to address his team. We have 60 hours to save our species. Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that should have destroyed us. We've spread across the galaxy because we never give up, never surrender, and never accept defeat. He looked at each of his fellow Guardians. They want to harvest us like crops. They think humans are just another primitive species to be consumed. They're about to learn why we're called the Guardians of Earth. Admiral Zheng was already coordinating with fleet commanders across human space. Colonel Stone was reviewing special operations assets that could be used against an enemy that could influence minds. Commander Vasquez was working to develop countermeasures against psychic attacks. Major Cross was analyzing intelligence from every surviving colony to identify weaknesses in the alien strategy.